So there you have it, Bruce. That's actually the meat of this story. Not that they're allowed to reopen it, but their intention is to go after NAR as part of lowering the cost of buying and selling a home. What are your thoughts on that?
I got to be honest with you, Chase. It's sort of, and we'll talk a little bit about the Sitzer Burnett case, right? And the way the plaintiffs presented how commissions operate in other countries versus the US. And they say that because we charge more, that our system is broken and doesn't work. And in actuality, they weren't comparing apples and apples, right? They were comparing apples to oranges because of the way that the consumer is being charged for those services in those countries. This seems like a broad brushstroke to try and solve a problem or a perceived problem that DOJ has. And again, right, like you said, DOJ and NAR have been locking horns for years, and specifically over the participation rule and the clear cooperation policy.
Well, it sounds like they're trying to put HomeServices on the hook for everything that's not been settled, which is strange because I don't know that that's their portion, if you will. It makes sense, Bruce. It makes sense what HomeServices is actually saying in my mind, which is, and this is part of a quote from their filing, plaintiffs' attempt to treat the settlement amounts as effectively final ignores the fact that courts commonly reject class action settlements when reviewing them for fairness, reasonableness, and adequacy. Additionally, HomeServices wrote that it does not expect the approval process of the settlement agreement to be smooth. So this goes back to what we were stating before, Bruce, and that is there's a lot more trail to break here. There's a lot more road to be walked down here, if you will, before anything is final. And just because there's a date set even in May, they're saying we don't expect it to go smoothly, and these things are often rejected even though they've been quote unquote settled. That doesn't mean that'll happen either, but there's a chance for it. So for someone to ask for 88% of these treble damages when there's still a lot of road to walk down seems to be, again, wanting to kind of supersede due process, if you will, right? And the process of what we should be allowed for in the courts, right? It's like, nope, these guys settled, so you should too. And we want the court to go ahead and tell you to pay us, even though you haven't settled. Just ludicrous to me, Bruce.
Yeah. I think these attorneys are salivating. These plaintiffs' attorneys are salivating so hard here, Chase.
So it is interesting to see, right? From a real estate agent perspective, I think one of the questions we have to ask is how are we positioning ourselves to well care for and create a great customer experience for different types of buyers and sellers? Because people in different generations sometimes have different expectations of what they want that customer experience to look like, right? You think of like older boomers, for example, they probably, a lot of them might still want to meet in person and sign paperwork with a pen, right? Versus maybe some of the younger millennials saying, hey, no, just send it over electronically and I'll click, 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 and away we go, right? And actually, as a real estate agent, we need to be able to offer both options. And I'm just using those as examples because that's what the client wants. That's what the consumer expects in that generation. So there's some interesting information here, Bruce, that I think real estate agents can really use to their advantage and make sure that they're able to navigate those different types of experiences that are expected.